Hi guys. We find ourselves in a random parking lot. I just got my haircut and I pulled over to somewhere where I can record and just found this empty parking lot. Today, yesterday was a little anxious for me. And yeah, it was I don't think I fully processed it yet because I don't feel back on track. It feels like I'm in between two different worlds right now. Like the part of me that wants to hold on to everything that happened yesterday that was stress and anxiety inducing at work. And another part of me just wants to let it all go and be present with you. I think I'm just being called to do both. Yes, I can do both. We can talk about what happened yesterday, and we can also be present. So let's lock in right now. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm reading Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And there's a point where I think he mentioned, sorry, I was listening to it while I was at work. So kind of half listening to it. But there's a point where he said that you can either feel and identify with the emotions that occur, or you can create some sort of separation with them, identifying them, and not identify with them so closely, and they become just sensations in the body. And it didn't resonate with me, but it really stuck out to me because I feel like I'm getting there. I'm on my way to getting to that point. Whenever an emotion arises, I definitely feel the physical sensations. I think what we need to work towards is identifying them and identifying them, seeing them for what they are. So yesterday I was feeling a lot of anxiety and stress regarding work. And mentally I was thinking, like, we have this problem and I have no idea how it's going to be solved. So I work in the cashier office. I'm a cashier. The problem was regarding money and a company's card information being leaked. So I think you can understand from that the kind of anxiety that I was feeling. And then there's other things where just customers were being difficult and such. But at the end of the day, the sun goes down. The only sort of hope that I have regarding the situation, well, there's two pieces of hope that I have. I mean, realistically, hopefully the person I gave that info to, he works with a company, like he bought stuff with the company or his company or whatever. Hopefully he is what's the word? Morally sound person, and gives that receipt to his company, and hopefully his company is morally sound, and that information gets taken care of, like getting rid of. I don't think this information is helpful at all for anyone. Not even me. But the second piece of hope that I was holding on to was whatever happens, really. It was a very situational occurrence where it's just like, it feels like it was supposed to happen because originally we were dealing with another issue that the whole cashier office was facing, and we're trying to fix that problem, figure out like what we went wrong with, and then I pull off to the side to take care of these transactions that were not even simultaneous. They were simultaneous. I was gonna say they weren't even one after the other. They were just like all at the same time, and therefore I had a mess of paperwork in front of me. Half of it was because I might have been a little disorganized, but another half of it was because people kept putting papers on my desk. I am feeling a little uncomfortable saying this but I feel like I need to be looking at it in a sense that we're already deep in and there's no going back. And essentially whatever happens, happens. This is so ugly. I don't want it to be too distracting. It's distracting me for sure. Oh, I had this idea the other day. What if I just had it hanging from... Hello? Yeah, I'm getting the sense that it's like a really bad thing that I did. And my anxiety is telling me that like there's potential for me to lose my job. But it was so circumstantial, dude. If it was in at any other time, it wouldn't have happened. That's what's making me feel like it was kind of meant to happen. Like, am I supposed to learn how to cope with this non-ending anxiety? I mean, there's nothing else I can do. So what? What should I do? What am I gonna do? There's nothing really I can do at this point. If I continue with this thought process, I'm gonna start to spiral. And I don't think that's what we want to do. And I don't think this is the right state of being that I should be in for relaying information to you. Relaying my spiritual knowledge and practices to you guys. All I can do is just hope and trust that it'll be fine. That's really all I can do. Like, move on and hope that it'll be fine. Because I'm not stressing about anything tangible, really. I'm really just stressing about something potential to happen. So all I can do is just be okay now, and then if something ends up happening, then deal with it then. That's so hard to do, though. That is so hard to do. So hard. As I was saying, listening to that book, reading that book, definitely reading it with new eyes now. Presence was something that I never really experienced before reading that book. And the first time that I experienced actual presence, well, I felt it before, but like in a 5-second time span, and with years of non-presence in between, if that makes sense. Now I'm at a point where I can actively choose to be present more often, and I'm not so lost in myself. Yeah, the only thing that's making me feel better right now is just everything will be okay, and even if things aren't okay, then everything will still work out. I'll figure it out as I go. Yeah. Whatever happened, I feel like I said this millions of times, but whatever happened, I feel like it was meant to happen because it wouldn't have occurred any other way, in any other situation. That's, yeah, the only thing that's giving me hope. It's like, it's supposed to happen, so it wasn't my fault. It obviously was my fault for what happened, but I don't know. I know at the end of the day, I'm like divinely protected, and I don't know. It's giving me this feeling of what is there to lose at this point? Here we go in my acceptance phase. Maybe I can tell you about something that was interesting that I never brought up to you. I talked about it in one of my other videos where I dealt with a coworker and I was standing my ground or whatever. So I was trying to articulate that to my bestie. And he couldn't really understand where I was coming from in a sense, because I think the way I explained it, it seemed just like passive, and I acted out of fear or a reflex. But I had to explain to him, like, it was a conscious choice. I did feel the urge to act, to explain myself, but I don't know, I kind of rose above it, and it's a very out there comparison, but I compared it to the crucifixion of Jesus, where he was being mocked and obviously misunderstood, but he didn't feel the need to, I guess, prove himself or fight against. He didn't feel the need to prove himself, and that's exactly what I was feeling in that moment. And I just thought that, wow, I'm truly taking inspiration from him, from Jesus. Even though I don't identify. Should we talk about that? Should we talk about religion right now? I don't identify with being Christian or Catholic. Don't identify with any religion. My understanding is that everyone that is in a religion, I'm not going to talk about the people that are in religions. I'm just going to talk about them in general. Religions have always been, religions have always been seen as something very human to me. I feel like religion has been, it obviously helps out a lot of people and good for them. But for me, it feels like all these teachers and things that we worship were just being misinterpreted. Because from my understanding, they're all saying the same exact thing. Yeah, so I just see religion as something very corporate. I feel like this is really just me processing feelings from yesterday in real time with you. But moving forward, I do have to recognize like what is in my control and really just hold on to hope. Maybe I just have to remind myself that whatever happens, like I'll be okay. Like there's literally nothing. There's a lot of things that can happen to me actually. But there's nothing that I can't handle. And there's nothing that you can't handle. Because we are one and the same. Everything will work out. You know what, dude? Let me not forget who I am. I started listening to that book again, and it was just reminding me of everything that I've been learning about myself. Like, let me not forget that I am connected to everything, and that this one issue is so small compared to the all of it. I mentioned in a previous video an analogy regarding video games. So the way I know that I quote unquote fail a level is when I give into these traps, for lack of a better term. It's when I find myself with a choice. Do I want to continue through the lens of my old ways, or do I want to continue through the lens of my true self, of my inner being, of my soul? When I choose to move through whatever I'm going through as my old frequency, as my old self, that's when I give up. That's when I fail the level and I have to restart all over again. So I'm catching myself right before I fall. I want to continue as my inner being would. And I know my inner being wouldn't dwell on, I guess, identifying very closely with the mind and with emotions that I feel. And this is obviously not in denial of what I'm currently experiencing. It's just a reminder for me to zoom all the way out and remember what I'm here for. I thought the things that I needed to think. Now it's time to integrate those shadows and just remember who I am. So there's no valid reason for me to continue thinking that way. In one of my previous, I think it was in my first lunch break videos, I was talking about mishaps and how they show you what you prefer. And I was thinking it's like what you prefer in life, like what you prefer to experience. But this kind of shifts the perspective where it's making me choose preference with what I want to identify as, who I want to identify as. It really highlights the point where it's just like my experience is helping me better define who I want to be. Anyways, I'm gonna continue. Sorry, that was really loud. I'm gonna continue with my train of thought later, just because I'm approaching home and my mic is also dying. But yeah, I'm probably going to separate this into two different videos because originally there's some things that I wanted to talk about regarding like feeling good about your desires, and if you don't feel good about your desires, then you probably shouldn't be thinking about them, and how we can start feeling good about our desires, blah blah blah. Also wanted to talk about getting to a point where problems aren't even problems, because that topic really intrigues me. I'm not really there yet, but I'm kind of like on my way to being able to say that I can do that. And so yeah, I'm probably just gonna talk about that later. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to remember that I am bigger than my problems, and truly whatever happens happens, and I'll be okay regardless. So yeah, I will talk to you later.